Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you all are fit and fine. So, today we are going to talk about relative pronouns. But before proceeding our lecture, we will talk about its learning outcomes and learning objectives. As you all know that we always talk about this. Yes, what are the learning objectives of this lecture and what are the learning outcomes or learning outputs? Yes, learning objectives. We are going to talk about these relative pronouns so that we will be able to understand the definition of relative pronoun, how they form, how they operate, and its different types, and how these types operate and how these types are different from each other. At the end of our lecture, we will be able to identify each type of relative pronoun and we will be able to use them in our own sentences. So, this is the purpose of studying this lecture, and at the end, we will be able to understand each type of relative pronoun. Okay. Yes. What is a relative pronoun? So, before talking about relative pronoun, we will recall the definition of a pronoun. Yes, what is a pronoun? A pronoun is a word that takes place of a noun. Yes, a pronoun is a word that is used instead of a noun. It means when we are having 4 and 5 sentences about the same noun, so instead of using the noun and again, we use pronoun for it. So a noun can be replaced with a pronoun, and relative pronoun is further a type of pronoun. Relative pronouns. They are used for nouns which are mentioned previously. It means in a sentence, a noun that is mentioned previously, we use a relative pronoun for that noun instead of using or mentioning the noun again and again. Relative pronouns are also used to join two sentences. It means in two sentences, if we are having the same noun, then we will write the noun for one time and for the other time we will use a relative pronoun for it. Examples are who, whom, which, whomsoever, whose, and so on. That and when. All these are relative pronouns. Okay, now some more information about relative pronouns. Oh, relative pronouns point to a noun to show a person, a thing, and a place. As we all know that a noun is the name of a person, thing, or a place. So relative pronoun it will also show some information about a person, thing, and a place. Now we will further talk about some examples of relative pronoun. Yes. Who? The first relative pronoun we are going to talk about is who. As you can see in the picture, there are some persons. So, the who is used to represent person. In a sentence or in two sentences, if we are talking about a person, so instead of using that name again and again, we use who. So, we will further elaborate this concept with the help of an example. Look at the picture. It is a picture of a boy who is wearing a cap. Yes, the boy who is wearing a cap is my brother. So, in this sentence, we have used who because we are talking about this boy. We are talking about this person. So, we have used who to represent the boy, to represent this person. So sometimes relative pronouns also tells information about the nouns used previously, as who is giving the information about the noun used previously. So who is used for mentioning the persons. Next pronoun, which. The pronoun which is used to represent objects. Objects like anything, watch, clock, or a gift. So we will further elaborate this concept with the help of an example. Now look at the picture. In this picture, a boy, or you may say a father, is giving a gift to his son, and the son is very happy. I love the present which you gave me. So here this boy is talking about the present. So as the present is object, so we have used which for it, and which is elaborating the concept of the noun used previously. So here the which is mentioning about this present gift. Okay. Next relative pronoun, where. Where is used to represent a place. So where gives information about the place mentioned in a sentence previously. Have a look on this example. In this example, there is a father who forgets things, and he never remembers where he puts his things. So he has forgotten about his keys. Obviously, he has placed his keys on a place, so that's why here we have used the relative pronoun where. My father forgets things. He never remembers where he puts his keys. Okay. Next relative pronoun, that. That is also used for objects, and it is also used for a person. This is for the same objects as well as for person. We will further elaborate this concept with the help of an example. Okay, now look at the picture. This is the book that I want to read. You may also say that that is also used to point out something, to point out a person or a thing. So it can be used to point out a person or a thing. So here, look at the picture. The boy is pointing out or mentioning towards a book by pointing towards it. So that is why we have used that for the book. Okay. Yes. Next relative pronoun, whose. Whose is also used for persons. When we want to show a possession of a person, then we use who. Means when we want to tell a thing that belongs to a person, we use whose for it. Now look at the picture. Salim is an engineer whose invention got him an award. So here, whose invention? Salim's invention. So the invention is belonging to a person. So for the belongings of a person, we use whose. I hope you have cleared all the relative pronouns, which, who, whose, that, where. All these are the important relative pronouns. Okay, now for further more clarification, we will see and we will have a look on these sentences. The woman who was shouting was angry. As I told you, for persons we use who. The garden, which is small, looks spacious. For objects, we use which. The car that drove right past me was red. Again, for objects, when we want to point out something, we use that. The girl whose brother. Here we are showing possession of a girl and a link between two things or two objects or two person, girl and brother. That is why we have used whose. The man whom I sent a letter will help me. Again, for persons, we also use whom. What she told me isn't true. So all these words written in purple are relative pronouns. So all these letters in purple are relative pronouns and all of them are starting with letters WH. So you can also say that all the relative pronouns start with the letter WH. That is why they belong to WH family. Okay? So the relative pronouns mostly start with the letters WH and they belong to the family WH family. Yes, at the end, our quiz time. For our success criteria or to assess our learning outcomes or learning outputs. In our previous slides, I told you about that relative pronouns are used to join two sentences. So, relative pronouns, what you will do that you will join each pair of sentences into a single one and use the relative pronouns. And you will use the relative pronouns provided to you in this word bank.